Hey guys, this is Gaijin Hunter and welcome to my top 5 weapon series from Monster Hunter Generations. And here is my list of my top 5 favorite hammers. Note that in Monster Hunter Generations there are dozens of final form weapons that cover everything you can possibly want, from every element to slots, no slots, good sharpness, bad sharpness, you name it. So finding the best of the best is actually an impossible task. These are just the personal favorites that I used and I really enjoyed, so if you're having any trouble coming up with some endgame goals, maybe this can give you a hint. Go ahead and let me know down in comments which weapons that you found to be your favorite to give everybody else some more choices. Okay, let's jump in. Kicking off the list, as you may have guessed, is another Hellblade Glavenus weapon, and I gotta admit, all the hammers in the game, especially the ones in this list, are very uninspiringly named. So this is the Hellblade Hammer. 200 attack, 5% affinity, 25 blast with natural white. It's kinda hard to make an argument against this being one of the best. That being said, the weapon that I used most in Monster Hunter Cross when it came to hammers, and probably the one I'm going to use most in Monster Hunter Generations, is the Sedition one, or the Hyper Sedition one, called the Qadar Sedition. 180 attack, 20% affinity, and 2 slots. It's got good sharpness, and of course you restore that sharpness after you do some evades. Honestly, there's not much reason to have to go to any other weapon. This is the great all-arounder, has great attack, great flexibility to slots. This is probably my pick for my favorite if I had to choose. And third up, when you think of brute strength in the Monster Hunter series, there's no better monster that comes to mind than Tigrex, so wielding the Tigrex Hammer just feels right. It's got 220 attack with white sharpness, which is ridiculous, and that even cancels out that minus 15% affinity, so don't let that really bug you, and it's even got a slot. This is definitely the weapon you want if you want to be pounding out some heavy damage. And similarly to the regular Tigrex, I also really enjoy the deviant Tigrex, the Grimclaw Hammer. 200 attack, 10% positive affinity, and even a little bit longer white sharpness makes this pretty much an equal choice, so choose whichever one you prefer. Again, this one will charge 100 arts a little bit faster than the regular Tigrex one. And now we go into the one other hammer I used just as much as I used the Tigrex one in Monster Hunter Cross, the Japanese version of the game, which is the Spiked Hammer. So this is one of the beginning weapons in the game that you can level up to its final version. It's got 220 attack and 15% affinity, and the idea is that you use this with sharpness plus 2. With sharpness plus 2, it gives you fantastic white, and it's going to be very hard pressed for you to find 220 attack with white and positive affinity. So if you have the right charms or the right set, this could be the one that really pounds out the massive damage. Okay, so those were my top 5 from my favorite hammers. Of course, I haven't used them all, but here are some honorable mentions. First one has to go to Alatreon, which of course is one of my favorite monsters in the game. 180 attack, it's a little bit on the lower side, but 40 dragon is very high, 2 slots makes it super versatile, and look at that white. All around a fine weapon, especially if you're going up against a wyvern who is weak to dragon in the head. And the last honorable mention has to go to Sleepy Bear. It's only 150 attack, so it's a little bit on the lower scale, but 43 sleep and super long white from default. This is definitely a support hammer if you want to bring it into a team. Make sure that you tell everybody that you're bringing it though, so that they can bring barrel bombs. And come on, the aesthetic. Hitting people with the Sleepy Bear is just one of the reasons why Monster Hunter is so great, right? It's kind of the joke weapons that, you know, they embrace. So that was my top 5 in honorable mentions. There's a bunch of other good hammers, and especially with this weapon, when you charge it, most of the weapons have some sort of visual indication. For example, if you're using the Narga Kuga, I think it spikes out like ears coming out of the cat or something. So I do think that for fashion hunters, you're going to want to find a hammer that is aesthetically pleasing for you, especially because you're going to be charging so much during the hunt. Anyways, let us know down in comments which hammers you like, and until next time, happy hunting.